Ask you to please rise for the invocation, followed by a moment of silence.
Let's pray. Well, God our Father, we humbly come before your presence. First of all, with thanksgiving and gratitude, Lord, to thank you for how you've blessed us, for how you have watched over us, and Father, for how you've given us ways to deal with issues and problems. Father, we pray for that wisdom to continue and increase. Pray for the men and women in this room, for the decisions they will make concerning the future of Merrillville. We pray for the betterment of our families, God, and for children. Let them continue to grow and to thrive and to be the kind of people, Father, that represent your blessings upon them. So, Father, we bow before you and ask your blessings upon this meeting. Thank you, through Jesus. Amen.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Mr. Hardaway, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk Treasurer, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, President Bella. Vice President Hardaway.
Here.
Councilman Minchuk.
Here.
Councilwoman Uzelak. Here. Councilman White. Councilman Pettit. President Bella.
Here.
4 present.
4 present, we have a quorum. Thank you. Moving on tonight to petitions, communications, acknowledgements, and remonstrations. We have the April Employee of the Month for the Street Department, Mr. King and Mr. Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think everyone's aware we've adopted this great practice of selecting an Employee of the Month. This month, it is the Street Department's turn, and we have a certificate of recognition we want to present to the Employee of the Month. And this certificate is proudly presented to Rich Niles. And if I can, I'd like to read it. For your initiative to go above and beyond expectations of duties for 35 years. Count them, 35 years of service to the town. Always willing to teach others the Richie Niles way, which I have to think, if he's here 35 years, it's probably a good thing. The professionalism you demand in yourself rubs off on staff and keeps the street department running smoothly. Awarded this 27th day of June, 2023. Richie, please come on up. Here's your certificate signed by myself. Kathy Pettit, HR, and here, Steve, get in. Small token of our appreciation for your really years of service. And the mic's yours.
Thank
Please.
you.
Okay, all right.
So thank you, I appreciate it.
Steve, something to add?
So tomorrow morning, he's gonna come in and he's gonna scan that certificate and put it on his laptop, so he can forever have it.
Okay, great.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Congratulations. Next item is our consideration tonight of whether to approve the draw request for the CRP CHI Sanders Farm parcel owner LLC related to the $1.8 million Town of Merrillville, Indiana Economic Development Tax Increment Revenue Bond Anticipation Notes, Series 2022. Mr. Reardon? You have details for us on this?
Sure. This, as you heard earlier, Redevelopment Commission, this is a continuation of our collaboration with Silos at Sanders Farm owners, Crow Holdings out of Chicago. This investment will, allow Crow Holdings to continue their build-out of the property along Mississippi Street, which not only benefits them, but also with the expansion of MCD, NIPSCO, Indiana American Water, it opens up surrounding property for additional development. And this, as Ms. Chilcott referenced during the meeting, is the town's commitment to this project.
Thank you, Pat. Mr. Svetnoff, anything else to add?
Not at this time, Mr. President.
We're just approving this statement number 1, requesting disbursement of funds.
Correct.
Anything else to add, Angie?
No, I think that's.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Uselak, second by Mr. Hardaway for approval. Discussion from the council? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Roll call vote, please.
Vice President Hardaway,
Yes.
Councilman Minchuk,
Yes.
Councilwoman Uzelak,
Yes.
President Bella.
Yes.
4 yeses.
4 yeses, thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on this evening to the consent agenda, we have the accounts payable register voucher approval for June 27th, as well as the approval of the town council meeting minutes from June 13th.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Uselak, second by Mr. Minchuk for approval of the consent agenda. Questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. So we're kind of light on numbers tonight, council, so let's speak up, please. Thank you.
Will do.
Thank you. Moving on to standing and special committee reports, Mr. Hardaway, Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have an ordinance 23-16 coming before us a little later on in the meeting. That's a amendment to our budget. Salary ordinance, I'm sorry. That's all I have.
Thank you. Council Affairs, any report from Mr. Pettit tonight? Pat?
No, sir, nothing at this time.
Thank you. Street Department, Mr. Minchuk.
No report at this time.
Elections, Public Relations, anything to add, Pat?
Again, nothing to report at this time.
I will add, just so
Please.
everyone knows, Mr. Pettit's in the hospital caring for his father-in-law this evening, so that's why he is not present. Environmental Affairs, any report from Mr. White?
I will say something.
Art?
I'm on the committee, Mr. White is not here. We have some type of a air problem, and it affects people with asthma, from what I'm hearing and seeing. They are saying after tomorrow, if we have a rainfall, it should clear up. So it could be some type of moisture, but it's causing haze in the air. So if you have asthma, try to stay inside. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Uselak. Personnel Policy and Employee Benefits, Mr. Hardaway.
No report, Mr. President.
Public Safety, Mr. Minchuk.
Yes, I have two things. Prior to tonight's meeting, we had interviews for the permanent chief for the police department. We had 3 candidates we talked to. It's kind of why we're running a little bit late tonight, I'm sorry. But they were great candidates. They had a lot of good things to say, so we wanted to give them all the opportunities we could. We should be having a final answer and concluding and for a final vote at our next meeting on that topic. Secondly, I emailed the entire council as well as our attorney the MOU from the Lake County Sheriff's Department in reference to our animal control problem. They are willing to assist us at their scale. So please, if the council could take time to review that. Attorney Svetoff has reviewed it as well, with the exception of one clerical error. He is good with that MOU. So please take your time, review that. I'd like to bring it to the table to our agenda at our next meeting as well.
And Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, and Chief also, we're going to need multiple agencies to assist us with our strays, right? And that's part of this process?
That's just one spoke in the wheel. Yeah.
Right, okay,
Correct, if I could speak.
sure,
What I'd like to see is at least 3 to 5.
okay.
And I'm currently working with some of the humane societies, and we're figuring it out.
Okay, great. Anything else, Mr. Minchuk?
That is all.
Thank you. Economic Development, Pat, anything from Mr. Pettit?
No, except that on the agenda is preliminary presentation from Holiday Properties. They're here present. They'll talk about their proposed project. I might add another project at Ameriplex. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Parks and Recreation, Mrs. Uselak.
Thank you. Yes, I did call Torrance a couple weeks ago. We've had a problem with maybe kids or somebody using the Hendrick Street Park, and for some reason, they are throwing all their papers, garbage from fast food on the park. So, in the kindness of Mr. Torrance, we did have somebody out there immediately to clean it, which I did appreciate. Now it came up again, just last weekend, and we did have it cleaned up by the street department this time. So, Mr. Torrance is doing a good job with keeping our parks in order and the lawns being mowed. So I hope the public takes heed with their garbage, and we do have trash cans out there on the parks, in the parks. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you. Abandoned and Blighted Properties, Mr. Hardaway.
No report, Mr. President.
Jeff, anything to add to the Dean and Barbara White Community Center report?
Not at this time.
Special projects, Mr. Hardaway, we have some events coming up, don't we?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, we've got events coming up. First off, I'm going to yield to Mrs. Shine so she can kind of like expound on our Juneteenth event that we had on the 17th of June. Mrs. Shine.
I just have a great big thank you to my co-chair, who was Robin Johnson, and to the committee members with Tracy Tate, Rhonda Neal, Keisha Norman, Sapana Keaton, and Torrance Price. Special thanks to the Street Department, Parks Department, Indiana University, our Merrillville Fire and Police Department, vendors, sponsors, and our faith-based organization, the Impact Church, Pentecostal South Lake. The Impact Church gave away popcorn, water, pop. Pentecostal South Lake gave away plants, and New Ebenezer Baptist Church gave away food. So I'd like to thank them and our vendors and our sponsors, but most importantly, I'd like to thank the Merrillville community, our friends and our family for supporting our 2023 Juneteenth Freedom Festival. Thank you, Mr. Hardaway and Mr. President.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Great job. You guys did a great job on it.
Absolutely.
Well-attended people just kept coming in and out all day. It was just a constant flow.
Had perfect weather, too.
To all of the elected officials that came out and the town attorney. Thank you very much. Secondly, July 3rd, 9 p.m. is our fireworks, which will be at the high school. And once again, I remind everyone that parking lot A is under construction. It's not under construction, but the building behind it is under construction. And so therefore, we won't be able to utilize parking lot A, but the other parking lots will be available for us. So we start at 9, so if you can get there a little early, it'll be greatly appreciated, so that we can start on time, because we don't want to get started and people miss the fireworks, trying to get into the place. Then our 4th of July parade is, the next day, we kick off at 11 a.m. And what's going to happen there is that we still accepting applications. We were up to 27, 28 today. So there's still some elected officials that haven't said that they're going to participate this year. Unfortunately, Marge, we won't have a float, so you'll have to have someone drive you in the parade.
Okay.
And Jeff, you were supposed to check with Pop Warner?
We're good.
Okay, so, but anyone that still, we have until Friday, till Thursday. Linda says she's going to issue numbers on Friday. So anybody that's interested, please contact Linda either tomorrow or Thursday so that we can fill out this list a little bit more. So we'd like to have 35 or 40 people, but right now we were sitting at close to 30. We haven't got to 30 yet, but we'd like to get to at least 35 or 40. We have our job fair on July 27th from 11 to 3 p.m. at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center. And we would still like to do a national night out the first Tuesday in August. So mark your calendars for that. That will be at the community center as well. Once we get through the 4th of July parade, then we'll have more information forthcoming about the national night out. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Moving on tonight to Department and Commission reports. Lake County Solid Waste Management, Mr. White's not here tonight. I believe he is ill. Is that right, Mr. Reardon? Northern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, Mr. Hardaway.
No report.
Stormwater Management, Mr. Lake. He's not here. South Shore Visitors and Convention Authority, Mr. Reardon.
I believe I distributed the latest circular flyer from the organization. I will be distributing it to staff and posting it on the town website. I want to inform the council that at our last meeting, the board agreed to fund its own use study for the proposed convention center, and the two previous sites touted here in Merrillville, the White property at 30 and 65 and the Plaza property at 30 in Broadway will be included in that study. I don't want to confuse anyone. You may remember that as part of the bill, the RDA will actually redo the study that they commissioned before, and then this is a companion study that we'll use in the process. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Fire Territory, Mr. Minchuk.
We have nothing scheduled this time.
Okay. Moving on tonight to department reports. I'm going to call on our fire inspector to come to the podium, please, and give us an update on the Hickory Ridge Lakes Apartment Home Complex. A lot of things happening there.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Bob Hillman here, just to give you guys an update. I understand you guys were given my last email that I sent off, my last letter to them. We spoke with them today, Mr. Reardon, me, Ms. Sheila, about some of their progress. The current management company is working on trying to clean things up around there. The potential new owner, we've spoken with him. We didn't speak with him today, but we have spoken with him in the past, including the police chief. He is understanding the dynamic of the situation. So this is not something that he's afraid to challenge. Apparently, this is what he and his partners do, is take over properties like this and make them better. So that's hopeful, and that's good for us to know. We're still working on a few things with them as far as fire safety things. They've had a couple contractors out that are having issues of going to the properties, so they're still looking for some of those things that are in my letter. We did speak to them today. I know they were out today. Ms. Shine and Mr. Reardon found them trying to replace lights on the property to brighten it up some. We did speak to them extensively about the permit process, so that way we can monitor it by our, inspectors and professionals to make sure everything's done correctly and right there. We also talked to them extensively about the demolition and things that they're going to have to do to upkeep the property while people are still living there. So those are still some works in progress with the potential new owner as well as the managed company, but we're well on board with Ms. Shine, Mr. Reardon, of keeping a close eye on this.
Excellent. Any questions for Bob? Thank you. Please keep us informed like you have. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Terrence, Parks Department.
Good evening. Wanted to go back, just make a couple of notes. With the holiday weekend coming up next week, we will be doing an extra trash run. So on this Friday, we'll have a trash run, then we'll double that up, come back this coming Monday. And then the Wednesday after the 4th, we will have another trash run. Just want to remind residents that the parks are first come, first serve, but there are ordinances and rules in terms of fireworks. We're going to do our best to keep it clean as much as possible. So us doubling up, doing those extra runs should help us out with that. Also, the trail at Stefik needed tree removal from the trail. So we cleared out all entryways at bridges and tunnels. Unfortunately, we have a lot of growth that are coming above it, and we need a special equipment to cut those trees and branches down.
Great, thank you. Police Chief Nusis.
Thank you. I don't have anything to report, but I just want to make a statement that we've been receiving a lot of calls about the fireworks. As a young kid, I enjoyed fireworks, so this, I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer on this, but there is ordinances and we have to follow, and we have to respect other people's peace. So just to let everybody know, the fireworks are starting from June 29th until July 9th. With the exception of the 4th of July, it's going to be from 5 p.m. until 2 hours after sunset. And they're all supposed to be consumer fireworks. So if we could all just practice good neighborly etiquette and respect our neighbors and their peacefulness. And if they're not doing it, then I advise them to call the police or advise neighbors to call the police if there's fireworks going off. That's it.
Thank you, Chief. Ms. Chilcutt, Economic Development.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up in regards to what Pat mentioned, and we do have guests in the audience for a preliminary resolution requesting a 10-year tax deferment for the Avante building. This is a 51,000 square foot flex industrial building. It will be located on 4.73 acres, 7.4 million in investment to bring about 50 full-time jobs with an annual payroll of $2.5 million. So our guests are here, and they could tell you a little bit more about the project at that time when the resolution is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Shine, from Planning and Building, anything else to add?
I just have one thing, Mr. President, in everyone's packet or at their seat, you have an application for our momentum plan, and this is an application, we're having a call out for the community committee. We're looking for a diverse group of individuals interested in neighborhoods in order to incorporate their point of view from the community. We're looking for 40 members. One of the criteria is that you must attend at least 6 monthly meetings or workshop beginning on July 19, 2023. You must have a commitment to collaboration and partnership, good ideals and great energy, and dedication to make our town a better place for everyone. So I'm encouraging people who would like to be involved to sign up. There's an application. I can make sure that everyone gets one, and we're certainly looking forward to making our comprehensive plan a great plan for the future of Merrillville.
Thank you. Sheila. Street Department, Mr. King.
Just a couple quick things. I just want to thank the town for recognizing Rich Niles as Employee of the Month. 35 years is a very long time. He's going to be probably retiring end of January next year. Hats off to him for a great career. Piggyback on a couple things here. Chief Nusis, Chief Yurga, and myself met with the schools this morning. This morning, right? Yeah. So this morning about the plan for the fireworks, traffic control, things like that. We've got all that worked out with Mr. Griffin from the schools. And also, after that meeting, Chief Nusis, myself, Kevin, who's not here, and Chief Yurgos, we talked about traffic control for the parade. When we're going to close the road, Broadway down. I've got the permit. I applied for the permit for the closure for Broadway. That's all been accepted. So we're all going to work together and make these events as fun as they can be. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Steve. Mr. Reardon, anything else to add?
No, sir, not at this point.
Thank you. Moving on tonight to general orders, we have first reading ordinances, ordinance 23-16. It's ordinance of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, amending ordinances 23-01 and 22-29A, and pay for employees of the town of Merrillville, Indiana for the calendar year 2023.
Motion to approve.
A motion by Mr. Hardaway,
Second.
second by Mr. Minchuk. Trista, did you want to add anything on the financial side of what we're doing?
Council had discussed during last budget season about a raise for the town manager. Discussed at that time a split during the year, 5,000 initially to start in January, within the consideration of an additional 5,000 coming in to play in July. There is money in the budget for that, to pay that additional 5 if it's approved by council. And I don't think I have any more detail than that for today's purpose.
Trista, did you prepare for us the salary comparison from town managers from neighboring towns?
That was done last budget season, yes, back in August.
Okay.
August, September. So those numbers are from that time. Some of the data was pulled by the town administrator or secretary as well, as far as contacting other towns, pulling some information together. We reviewed it, we confirmed it, and then put together that summary page that you have, including some of the extra benefits, take-home car, yes or no, insurance, those kinds of things that you see there.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yeah.
Mr. Minchuk?
Yes.
Mrs. Uzelak?
Yes.
Mr. Bella?
Yes.
4 yes.
4-0, motion carries. Moving on tonight to ordinance 23-17, it's ordinance of the town of Merrillville authorizing additional appropriations in the 2023 budget.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hardaway, second by Mrs. Uselak for approval. I believe what we're doing here, Pat, is simply funding 2 funds for the job fair and also the July 4th parade expenses. The requested amount is $29,500 in total.
That's correct.
Any questions or comments from the council? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yes.
Mr. Minchuk?
Yes.
Mrs. Uzelak?
Yes.
And Mr. Bella?
Yes.
4-0.
4-0, motion carries. Thank you. We have no second reading ordinances tonight. We do have resolutions tonight. A resolution of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, transferring monies within the Cumulative Capital Development Fund. It is other equipment decrease of $49,000. The CCD Parks and Improvement Fund will be increased by the same amount. The net effect is 0.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Minchuk, second by Chair will recognize Mrs. Uselak for approval. Questions or comments on this motion? Mr. Bearden, is this going to allow us to pay the vendors who did the recent work at the parks? Or is this for something else?
That is correct,
Yeah.
President Bella.
I went and saw those improvements, and I have to tell you, what a big difference, Marge, in the parks.
Really?
Those are nice improvements that we did.
Well, I'm glad you've seen it.
Yeah,
And we've done a lot of work trying to keep it clean.
Well, that's going to be a constant, I
Yeah.
think.
But the parks do look good right now.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the resolution? Hearing none, this requires simply a voice vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, and motion carries. Moving on to Resolution 23-20. It's a preliminary resolution of the Town Council, the Town of Merrillville, Indiana, declaring an area in the town as an economic revitalization area and approving a real property tax abatement for Merrillville Avanti LLC. This is what Mrs. Chilcutt was referring to and why we have our guests here. Go ahead, guys. Angie, feel free to come up too and assist.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present. We have a new project for Ameriplex at the Crossroads.
Hey, who are you, sir?
My name's Mike O'Connor. I'm with Holiday Properties. I'm here with Laura Small, who's the project architect. She's also with Holiday Properties. We're proposing a 51,000 square foot multi-tenant flex industrial building. This building is dramatically different than some of the buildings that have been built recently out there, much smaller, and we're targeting much smaller tenants. Over the last few years, the town of Merrillville has been fortunate to attract some pretty large users to the park and to the town, and we're trying to meet a need for smaller space for smaller tenants. We developed a similar building in Portage. We planned and started it before the pandemic. It delivered in May of '21, kind of during the darkest days of the pandemic, and it's done very, very well. We've got 6 tenants in the building, one company from Spain, a company from Illinois, and then several companies that relocated from Indiana into the park. There's 65 employees in the building. It's slightly bigger than the building we're proposing here tonight, but very similar product, and it's just been very, very well received. We've been the developer at Ameriplex for many years, and just the last 5-6 years, we've been a seller of land to other developers to develop some of those big buildings, but we'd like to continue as our role as developer of the park and develop this building. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Laura Small, our architect, to describe the building a little bit for you. One fun fact I just learned, Laura's a graduate of Merrillville High School, and she went to high school with Richie Niles. So, yeah.
Wow.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
The company was still here, but.
Go ahead, Laura.
Thank you so much. So yeah, as Mike had mentioned, my name is Laura Small, architect with Holiday Properties, and the lot that we are looking at is Lot 26, and it is right to the east of the E-Law Building on 98th Ave, and I think Mike is probably pointing to it. It is 4.73 acres, and we are in the process of getting that whole area replatted to take out that section of acreage, and the building, 51,000 square foot. It will be precast concrete panels, which I believe we also have another slide of the front elevations. Our drawings are now at 100%, and we are in the process of setting up meetings with Sheila and Matt and Steve to go through all the drawings with the civil and the architectural. But the quality of the architecture is consistent with what's in the park, and we feel that we have added some interest with the banding and the reliefs within that and the fenestration, and believe that it will be a nice asset to the park. I believe other than that, we're looking at 4 tenants. We're looking at anywhere from 12,000 to 13,500 square feet per tenant, and each one would have a dock door and an overhead drive-in door as well.
So what type of tenants would you be looking for to occupy the spaces, Laura?
I think that's probably more Mike's question.
Okay, sure,
Yeah.
that's fine.
So we do have an initial tenant that we're working on a lease transaction with. They'd be relocating from Hammond. American Graphics is the name of the company, and They have 6 employees that they locate here, and they would take probably in the range of 8,000 square feet of the building, so a little more than 15% of the building. We've got another tenant that's also interested. They're in the construction and glass and storefront business that's reached out to us that we're engaging with as well. Those are just examples. The project that I mentioned earlier in Portage, we have an engineering company that came from Spain that manufactures and services metal bending equipment. That was an example. We've got a distribution company. We've got another graphics company in the building. And then a recreational use in the building in Portage. So just a variety of different businesses. That's what I would anticipate here. I think it'd be a mix, again, of a lot of the activity we see are companies from Illinois looking to establish a presence here. So I would anticipate that to continue. So I don't know if that helps.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments? Council? Ms. Shine, anything to add?
No, sir.
Angie, can you explain the schedule for the abatement here?
Sure, they are seeking a 10-year tax deferment with the Indiana scale. First year 100%, and then it ticks down thereafter as listed. The AV is currently $53,282. The new assessed evaluation would be approximately $2.4 million. The estimated gross tax savings is $643,500 estimate, and in regards to the tax abatement fee that would be collected is approximately $96,525.
Thank you.
They did receive favorable recommendations from the Economic Development Committee meeting and the RDC meeting as well.
Great, thank you.
Motion for resolution 23-22.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Minchuk with a second by Mr. Hardaway for approval of resolution 23-20.
My apologies, 20.
Right?
Yes, that is correct, 20.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council? So I will say something, Mike and Laura, thank you for doing something a little bit smaller to help smaller businesses. You know, they can't all be 1 million square feet, and they can't all be 500,000 square feet. So this is going to give some opportunities to smaller-sized businesses to come to Merrillville, which is nice to see. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have one more resolution on our agenda tonight. It's Resolution 23-22. It's a resolution of the Town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, establishing a redistrict fund within the town budget entitled Public Safety Building Fund.
Motion to approve 23-22.
Motion by Mr. Minchuk, second by Mrs. Uselak of 23-22. Mr. Pettit would normally explain this for us, but I'll give it a try. Or Mr. Minchuk, go ahead.
As most people know, the town is pretty much growing pretty big in the south and southeast end of town. We currently have no fire stations south of 30. All our fire stations are north of 30. So with all the development we got going on down south and exploding up down there, we want to build a fire station and public safety building in the southeast end of town to give better services to those businesses and residents that live there as well. This will take some time. So what this resolution will do, will set up the account to accept donations from wherever those sources may come. Hopefully some of these newer businesses that are coming into town, that would be great. To accept donations towards this project and this project alone. Once we reach our, goal, we will go ahead and proceed from there.
I think that we've also had some commitments, right, Mr. Minchuk, from
We've had a few,
companies
yes.
already. And before we can even accept any donations of any type, we need to have a fund established so that the monies go there and earmarked just for the building. Is that right, Trista?
Yes, this allows the money to be reserved specifically for that purpose, which is laid out in the resolution for you. As well, toward the bottom, you'll see that in the event that the purpose is reached, AKA the building is built, and there is still balance left in the fund, there are then alternate uses available and funds to transfer that leftover money to for the same purpose of the public safety, whether it be repaired to other buildings in the fire territory or for additional further equipment that they may need. So all of those donations will be able to be kept for those specific reasons.
Okay, thank you. I'll add also that this idea was to also have space for a police department substation or sub-office and a office and area for the street department to park a truck or two and even a pile of salt, so that when vehicles are out in the panhandle, which is really far away from the street department, they can utilize that location and save a lot of time and fuel driving back and forth. Is that right, Steve?
That's correct.
I believe, too, Mr. Svetnoff, that this type of project would help us retain our very good fire protection insurance numbers, right?
Would enhance our fire protection.
Yeah.
Keep our great rating.
All right, very good. Any other questions or comments on the motion to approve the Public Safety Building Fund? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The motion carries. Thank you all. Moving on tonight to the American Rescue Plan, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight's accounts payable voucher for American Rescue Plan is $25,167.50. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hardaway with a second by Mr. Minchuk to approve the ARP purchases for the American Rescue Plan Fund. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any BZA or large gathering actions before us tonight, Ms. Shine?
No, sir, Mr. President.
Thank you. Moving on to old business. Any old business before us? New business. Any new business tonight? Moving on to open to the public. Please approach the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and we allow 3 minutes for comments. Please form a queue up there if there's multiple speakers. We'd appreciate that. Mr. Stetnoff, you can do timing for us? Thank you.
Very quickly, my name is Chris Reddick. I do not live in Merrillville, but I am the new branch manager of the Lake County Public Library Merrillville branch.
Oh, thank you. Good.
And last week, we had an event to celebrate our summer reading program, and several departments came out, the police, the fire, the streets, brought their trucks. It was a hot day, and they stayed there for 2 hours, and the kids absolutely loved it. It was jam-packed. I don't even know how many kids we had. We tried to keep track and gave up. But everybody who came out was really, really nice, showed the kids around. My personal favorite was the Mack truck. Whatever. I just wanted to thank all the departments and really appreciate you helping us promote reading and also promote a sense of community in Merrillville.
That's
So
great.
thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So if you do want to speak, please form a queue or a line there so we can expedite those. Thank you so much.
Brian Messarch, 201 East 68th Place. First, I want to start off with Sheila and Robin. The Juneteenth celebration was fantastic. You guys did. Big kudos to you. I'm coming to you when next time I need to plan a party. Definitely. I attended the tax talk. I was kind of disappointed. It was more like an infomercial to tell the residents how awesome a job you guys did. I would like to point out, I asked several questions. I still don't have any answers to those questions. And more importantly, I've been waiting well over a year to figure out when the TIF zones end. I was, Bob Swindle was supposed to get that information to me. Who's responsible for giving this information out?
We'll follow up with Bob. It's Bob Swintz is who it
Swintz.
was, yeah. We'll follow up with him.
My problem is that I've asked questions for a long time, and I continue to get the same answer. Or we're going to follow up, and still nothing, no information to follow up on.
Would you mind sending us an email with your specific questions, and we'll see if we can get answers for you right away, Brian?
Absolutely.
Do it again. I understand you've done it before, but please do it again, and we'll follow up.
Yeah. I'll send the email as much as I have to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sabina Miller, 3120 West 75th Place. First item, I wanted to quickly add for Ms. Uselak that the respiratory issues, there were two kind of smells out there. On Sunday, we had SO2, which was caused by a whiting plant that had no power. When the power was restored, it dissipated. The second one, the smoke in the air, it was actually big time in Chicago yesterday, and they had a big smoke alert. That's from the wildfires, so there's not like a liquid in the air, it's the wildfires. One of the questions I have for the Hickory Ridge Lake item, I saw online on Facebook that supposedly, according to the property management company, that all orders that were placed on the doors to leave, for residents to leave, were rescinded. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, so they don't have to leave anymore?
No,
Follow-up question.
just in the buildings that were a public safety hazard.
Yeah, because there were some that were not condemned that still have the mold. So my question is, are these tenants now being held accountable to the leases again that they were in before?
I can't answer that.
Okay. That would be interesting to know, because I think it wouldn't be right if there's mold in the buildings.
For sure.
There is one other thing I wanted to hone in on that relates back to the last meeting, and that was when I brought up this ward map. And President Bella, you had said that this map wasn't taken effect until January. I went to the election board, and they say that's actually incorrect, because the town of Merrillville made this official and signed off on it on December 22nd, 2022.
Yeah, that's for next year.
No?
Yes, it is.
Then I talked
We
to
have our
Michelle.
legal attorney right here.
So Michelle said that all the elections were held according to the new map, and she
Right.
said the document says that these maps are effective the moment they were signed. They were signed on December 22nd, 2022, and she said the moment they were signed, they were effective.
Yes, they're
She said-
effective, they're effective January 1st of next year.
She says no.
Well,
I asked her
that's-
specifically.
I can't speak to what someone else said at the county building, but I just conferred with our attorney today, and that's how it's supposed to work.
So the director of the election board doesn't know what
I can't speak for them.
Merrillville is
I
doing.
don't know.
She said the only thing that hones in on, we had talked about if this is Haldeman's ward or if it's Span's ward. And she said the only thing that ties back to Span is because he passed away and there's a caucus for somebody else to get elected. The precinct committee men of the precincts that were in place when Span was elected will be the ones electing the temporary person. But this map is intact, so Hickory Ridge Lake is actually in Howdaways.
No, it's not. I don't know.
That's what they're saying at the election board.
Okay.
That's her reality, let it be her reality.
And just to let you know, this is from your website, President Bella, and it's the same map that you have published that I have here from the Lake County.
I can't see that. I don't know. If you want to stay afterwards, I'm happy to talk to you, but The ward maps are right on the town website, so feel free to reference those there.
So your website is wrong?
I'm not saying the website's wrong. There's current ward maps, and then there's ward maps to take effect next year. That's what redistricting is all about. And it-
Okay, so the election board doesn't know what you guys are doing, and you guys don't know what they're doing?
You're not going to bait me into saying something wrong about the election board, ma'am, because I don't know what they told you. It's all hearsay.
I spent about an hour with
Okay.
them on Monday,
Yeah.
yesterday. And I spoke with the director of the Board of Elections, Michelle.
Okay.
And she basically said exactly what I'm telling you.
It's an election board issue now. It's not, we did our new maps, right? We approved them here at this area, turned them in on time. The election board received our maps and approved them, and those are the new maps that take effect January 1st of next year.
That didn't happen.
Well, if it didn't happen, that's on the election board. Didn't it happen?
She showed me the document that you guys signed, and it
It was
clearly
submitted
says
in
that it's.
compliance with Indiana code.
Yeah.
Right, but she showed me the document, and she said, see this right here, the sentence before everybody starts signing? She says it takes effect immediately at the signing, after the signing.
We don't have the authority to do that, Sabine. We can't just change maps mid-term. We don't have the authority. So maybe there was a date wrong on the document, but we can't even do that. We have no authority to change maps.
Would you look into that with the election board, please? Because there's clearly a discrepancy between.
Must be some confusion, it sounds like. So we'll look into it.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, that's RDC stuff.
Shauna Haynes Edwards, 5550 Adams Street. To piggyback off of what Sabine was saying, it's not just her reality, it's a lot of people's reality. So I think that was a very rude comment to say if that's her reality, that's what it is. There's clearly a discrepancy, and we do need to get to the bottom of it because that changes so many dynamics when it comes to voting and who's accountable for what ward. So to be rude, I think is very inappropriate. Going back to the last meeting, we talked about the speeding and the speed humps that were going to be placed. Do we know where those speed humps are being placed? Because they said there was a area that you guys are going to place it in. What is the area where these speed humps are going to be placed? And they said that they were ready to be put out, but I've not heard, or
Go ahead.
no one has heard.
The first ones are being installed in a neighborhood where we have some problems.
So we do, so the speed humps are in. We did get a quote to have them installed from a contractor. I met with them this afternoon at 1 o'clock. The first set of speed humps will be going in tomorrow in Ward 1 in the Foxmore subdivision on Wright Street.
Okay.
So as of right now, that's the first location we're gonna start with, and then we'll move out from there.
And what's the trial period that it's going to be, that they'll be out there before new ones are set in different areas?
So they'll be out there at least the rest of the season until the winter comes. These are temporary, and they have to be removed because they're rubber. We can't, our department can't plow over them. Now, if this is a success, possibly next year, we could look at, move forward into more permanent ones, asphalt ones that are plowable.
So we're going to wait
That
till.
will stay there all the time. That
Okay.
we'll be able to plow over. So each ward is gonna get, they'll get a set of speed humps in the worst traveled residential areas. And then if this is a success, and we see a decrease, then I'll approach the council next year about adding more on a more permanent basis.
So it'll be next year when the other wards get speed humps? Or
No,
will it be
they'll
this
get
year?
them, everybody's gonna get them this year.
Okay.
The first ones are going in tomorrow.
Okay.
So if this is what I'm saying, because these are temporary, they can be removed and moved.
Right, I didn't know if you were saying after this season
No,
ends, then
So,
the next ward.
Yeah, so
couple
if this
wards will
is
get
a
some.
success, and I'll get with the police chief, and we'll get with the council, and, tell them what a success we've had, and we'd like to install more permanent ones that can stay there all year round, that our department can plow over and around, so.
Okay. And in Ward 1, where you guys are putting it in this subdivision, is it a lot of children active in that?
Yeah, a lot
in that
of
neighborhood?
children, yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. I would love to come over there and see what that looks like, if it's actually being effective.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's also going to be in hot zones, as we call them, where
Yep.
we have a lot of speeders that we've noticed.
Okay.
Because you do have to slow down to go over these.
Absolutely. Lastly, there is a huge trash mess behind the Chase Bank, right here on 68th?
68th.
Yes. Do we
So
know what that's about?
Yes, I'm addressing that, Shauna. We've been trying to get in contact with the church there, and so I did put something on there. They'll be contacting me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Darian Collins, 2505 West 65th Avenue. Sabine, I can give you a copy of the letter from Hickory Ridge where the order was rescinded except for the 2 buildings that were condemned, and they are definitely telling the residents that they are responsible for their leases, and that if they want to get out of their lease, then they have to send an email and do whatever the steps that they are needed, because some people have asked to be released, but I can text you a copy of that, and I don't know why they haven't seen it, because all of us have. But anyway, I'm coming to the mic about ordinances and about the situation with pets, specifically dogs. One of our residents who was here last week, someone in her subdivision was walking a pit bull, and her dog was outside on a leash to use the bathroom, and the pit bull attacked her dog. And the owner of the dog, could barely restrain his dog to get his dog to release her dog, her little miniature dog, out of the pit bull's mouth. We had another situation a couple of weeks ago where there were 2 pit bulls who were unidentified and unleashed running around in a neighborhood who scared another resident. I talked to another resident today who said that in her subdivision last year, a loose pit bull had attacked her neighbor. And so I would like to have something done where we have code enforcement looking at what is going on with animals. We have an ordinance that certain breeds of dogs have to be registered with the town, and that people have to have appropriate personal liability insurance. And I would like to have that issue addressed and enforced. And I don't want to hear about we don't have any money. We're giving somebody $10,000 a month raise. We got money to do the things we need to do to protect residents in this town. And so that is a very serious issue, and I don't want to see that. I don't want to see us starting to have problems with dog attacks or loose dogs or any of that kind of thing. And so if we can do something, if we can get our code enforcement department back active and back alive and back doing the things that they need to do, that would be very, very much appreciated. But she had her Ring camera captured the dog, the pit bull grabbing her little miniature dog, and so that's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got other things on Facebook about pit bulls, and I don't have anything against pit bulls. I have friends that have wonderful pit bulls. They are loving and kind, but we need to make sure that certain breeds of dogs, according to our ordinance, are registered with the town and they have proper personal liability insurance. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Minkle. I live in the Tempe Lake Condo Association building. I'm just curious, what are they building on the corner of Grant and US 30? They've torn down all of the the vegetation is like way overgrown now, but they put up like a cyclone fence on the side on Grant Street. And I'm just wondering, I know I called about a month or so ago to find out if there was a redevelopment going up there or what they were doing with the property. And I was basically told by the person who I talked to, whose name I did not get, was that it's private property and there's nothing the town can do. If he wants to take down things, he can. Well, I mean, it's an eyesore. Like I said, there's like orange fencing on the side, and nothing's been done, and it's overgrown vegetation, and I was just wondering if there is some kind of a redevelopment plan and something is going in there.
So you said Route 30 and Grant Street,
Yeah, Grant Street right off of Route 30. Yes, sir.
to the north or to the south of 30?
I'm not sure. I'm really not good with
Okay.
directions. But
Ms.
if
Shine,
you're
you know of
going,
anything going
Is
on?
it behind Gordon Food?
yes, yes,
Okay,
it's
so
behind
that's-
Gordon.
Okay.
So, on one side, the side where the subway is on, there's going to be a housing development there, okay? So I talked with the engineers today because the gentleman who's going to develop, he had some problems. His first engineer died, so he had to take it to the next engineer, just that. But I talked with his engineers today, and they should be filing something for preliminary subdivision approval to build on that side. On the other side, the gentleman did purchase the property, and he did take down the trees. He did not come to us and tell us that he was doing that. So we have been constantly on him. He's gotten tickets to clean it up.
Okay,
That's where we are with it.
okay, thank you very
Yes,
much.
ma'am.
Appreciate it.
If you have questions, just give my office a call, the Planning and Building Department.
Okay.
And I can show you the housing plans for the developer who's going on the one side. And then, we will look at the other side. He cut the trees down and he was supposed to clean it all up.
Right.
And he's doing a slow job at it, but we're on him.
He's doing a very slow job.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Shonda Flowers, 6137 Connecticut Street, Merrillville, Indiana. I'm piggybacking off of the pay raises. I have a question. I was looking through my phone because I know that there was an email that was circulating. I know the one that I ran across was way back in August 2022. There was a Women Leadership Summit, and that summit was open for department heads, the women who were in the department heads. They were having some type of seminar that the town paid for. I wasn't able to go. Probably was in between surgeries, no telling. But from that, I remember conversations with regards to salaries and how the women and the things that they heard there and making sure that the women were in line, compensation-wise, with regards to amounts of money that people make in positions. And so from that, I know that at one point there was an email requesting the amount of money that I made and other managers, department managers. Is there something on the books with regards to taking in consideration with department heads and that there are some numbers that, or schedule that is set up with regards to where that money is? Because there hasn't been any follow-up with that. I know Linda was taking that on and was discussing with the council her concerns about her pay, not just hers, but other department heads in their position. And so I'm glad that you got your pay. When will we be able to see something with regards to information that was requested about the pay for the other women that are also in, not just women department heads, some consistencies with that? Because I know I've been in my position sometime and longer than others, and they started out at a higher amount. So there has to be something consistent with regards to when you're looking at giving or making people whole as a result of what monies and what people compared to other salaries outside of this town. Is that something that you guys are going to pick that baton back up and run with, because that information was being asked? And currently, there really isn't anything in place with regards to where a department head start, whether there's something pertaining to how many employees they may manage, but there needs to be some type of consistency in place when you're looking at just the town managers. You should also look at the other ones that you were looking at prior to, because nothing's been heard since then. Does anyone have an update on that? And it's been over a year. And so I'm not sure how long they've been looking at your pay, Pat, but, and this is with all due respect, with some of the other things, there could be questions with regards to challenging that, but more importantly, let's just come up with something that's consistent. and not prioritize one position over another. I think it is something when you talk about inclusion that you are including, making sure that all department heads has a starting point that is in comparison to what other towns, or more importantly, that's something that's consistent for the town itself. So is that something that could possibly still be on the books, or did you guys put that back? Or you don't have the money for the, not just myself, but all of us? And you know, I know Joy's been doing her position for a long time as well, and yet her pay is significantly less than others who have started in a new position and have not been working that position not even 2 years. And they started out almost averaging 15,000 more than the rest of us.
Normally, that gets looked at budget time, which is going to start here in the next 2-3 weeks. That's when we're going to use that information to review the budgets for next year.
I think that that is just an answer to speak, because I'm sure when it came to Pat, that was not the case. He's getting his now.
Well, his was supposed to be given to him 6 months ago, and the council held back. Okay, so that was a personnel issue.
Okay. Yeah, because this email was all the way back from August of 2022.
Understand?
Okay. We just want to make sure that we're being held accountable to the statement that you all put in place.
Sure.
Okay.
How y'all doing? Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Berger, and I live at 6945 Broadway. I've been there since 1989. Lived in Merrillville since 1966. And I want to know, getting back to the town map, my driveway's been on your map for a very long time as a road. And I've, sent letters and talked to people about this. Here's a copy of the town map with my driveway on there as a road. Can you please remove it? It's not a road. It's my private driveway.
Yeah, we've received your emails and stuff. We're working on that. Mr. Svetnoff, are you aware of that? We're gonna do-
I made everybody aware of it several times. I even
Yeah.
made Bruce Spires aware of it way back in the day, and I'm about fed up to here with it. Take it off of the map.
Okay.
What's the big deal? I would like you to take it off the website right now, because if I look at the website, my driveway's on your website. I'd like it removed immediately, if not sooner.
So was that a dedicated
I need a date.
roadway?
I need a time and a day this is gonna happen.
Yeah, okay.
I'm fed up.
We'll take care of it.
When? What's the time and the date it's gonna be taken care of?
I really can't,
Huh?
I can't give you that right now.
Well, then I'll just stand here and wait.
Okay.
I'll frickin' stand here and wait. You guys must think I'm a fucking clown or something.
Watch your language.
Hey, watch the language. Hey, I got clown noses for everybody. You want one?
Okay, that's a
I
good
got a
way to
clown
work
nose
with
for
that.
every single one of you guys. Here, Chief, here's a clown nose. Yeah. You guys think I'm a clown or something, right?
No, we sure don't, sir.
You know, it's been a long time, man. I've been waiting for this to take it down off the website. Long time.
Okay.
So when's it gonna happen? Give me a month. Give me a year. Give me something. That's what I thought. Here, have another nose. I got noses for everybody. Here, have them.
Okay, our next town council meeting is July 11th at 6:30.
What the heck?
Banish him from speaking from now on.
Yep, I will. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Steve, there's somebody here. We have a question for you.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Okay.
So Shonda,
Rich